Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, or Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth. And much love to the one-third and the innumerable multitude of you believers out there. To you all, I say Shalom. I'm the brother Yeshaya from the Great Millstone West Palm Beach Church. And I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. All right, so I'm going to title this something like my mother texted me to collect groceries, something along those lines. And I want to say this as a disclaimer. I'm not saying this to shame my mother or to belittle her or to make fun of her. Of anything, she's getting in a more understanding state and position. I'll say that. Let me read what she wrote first, and then I'll go into it. And if anybody who be watching my lessons and watching me at camp, I be telling the brothers, like, I always say, I love my mom. I do, man. You know what I'm saying? My mom in the world, she do a little, she got a good spirit. She do a little through shit, like wear colored hair and stuff like that. But, man, I pray the Lord have mercy on her. So I'm not saying this as any form of disrespect, even if it may come off like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But she texted me today. So let me say this first. A couple of days ago, she, I talk to my mom every day to every other day. We call each other in the morning and shit like that. So. But she says to the other day while I'm driving to work, she says, hey, it's something that I want to ask you, but I want to get all my thoughts together, write everything down, and then I'm something I've been meaning to ask. So I'm like, all right, but I know it's something Bible-based, you know what I'm saying, that she don't got the answer to, but my mom, throughout time, I've always tried to, at first, my zeal in my youth, she saw what I was about. But obviously, through maturity, you start falling back and not saying nothing, and things like that. But she know how serious I am about the Bible. That she does know, And so, but anyway, so she's like, I got to get my thoughts together. I'm going to ask you. I'm like, all right. But that was maybe a day or two ago, but she didn't get around to it or nothing yet. So I'm waiting to see what she has to say. But nonetheless, she texted me today. She texted me today at 5:51 in the afternoon. She said, if you have any, and this is out of blue. She said, if you have any extra money, go to the grocery store, put some food in the house, canned goods, etc. So I was at the brother Gabar's house when she texted me that, and I showed him, I'm like, man, my mom's, she's starting to see what's going on with Babylon. A lot of times, people our families don't always understand. And actually, let me get this scripture to start with. I was gonna start with another scripture, but we were talking about this earlier. This is Luke 4:24. It says, and he said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. Right? In John 4:44, for Yahushua himself testified that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. You see, so a lot of things we say, your family not gonna get it. They're not gonna believe you. They knew you as little Ray Ray, being bugged out, right? Doing drugs and wilding out and stealing shit. And, they don't see you as the man of the Lord that Yahweh Shai has created you to be. So a lot of times with our families, that's why you just gotta, hey, man, it is what it is, And Elder Murph was recently talking about, relatives, as versus family, because when you read Matthew, the 12th chapter, and verses like 46 through 50, it goes in how, those that do the will of my Father, those are my brother and my sister and my mother, Those are the men of the Great Millstone, the brothers that are doing this work in sincerity. And in truth, those are your family. But at the end of the day, we got certain families, just not to fuck with and go around. But you got other members of your family that you might care about. Your relatives that you might care about. And, you pray the Lord have mercy on them. But at the end of the day, that's up to you. How about Shemal Shah? And you just got to be ready you got to hope for the best, But understand, if the worst happens, this is something that we could foresee too, right? But so my mother said, if you have any extra money, go to the grocery store, put some food in the house, canned goods, etc. So I text her back in all caps. Me and my mom got a, where I can keep it real with her, but I also can make jokes and things like that. And the thing is, y'all know I use expletives very freely. I use so-called curse words a lot. But when I talk to my mother, I don't use them. Unless I'm like really frustrated about something, and then I might only say like one. Like, man, I was pissed off. I don't really say. It's crazy how that works, right? Because the scriptures say honor thy father and honor thy mother. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really use that. My father, he don't really care. You know what I'm saying? He's my stepfather, but he don't really care. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to moms, you just had a different level of respect around her. Even though she don't care about you, she understands I'm a grown man too, but I still don't do it. Even though it's not a bad thing, it's just a respect thing. But so I text her back in all caps. I said, it's getting real, baby, with a smiley face, the one where all the teeth are showing. You know what I'm saying? And so, but then she texts right back and says, sure is, let's get it. So I'm like, hey, mama in the spirit, but you know what I mean? But the thing is, she's starting to see the judgment at the door. Get this. This is 2 Ezra 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this is futuristic. This is prophecy. These are the things that are about to happen. So my mother may not be able to know the fullness of the judgment, but she's starting to see that these woes are about to come upon the earth, right? She's starting to see and she's starting to understand. And these are the things that we've been talking about for years, trying to tell the world. Okay? Let me see here. These are the things that we've been trying to warn the world about. Okay? But we understand that our family's not going to, ultimately, they're not going to get it. But they're going to start seeing these different signs. They're seeing these things. But see, the Lord says, let me go to that real quick. At the end of the day, and this is what she doesn't understand, all of those things have a expiration date, right? That's what my mother doesn't understand. No matter how much food you get, canned goods, you can store that up. One, it says men are going invading one another. So men are going to come in people's houses to take their goods. All right? Men are going to take and steal and hurt one another to take a can of sardines, man. All right? This is Isaiah 10 and 20. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, right, those are the believers, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon them that smote them, but shall stay upon the Holy One of Israel. Stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. You see, so if you understand the Bible, there are many incidences. We go into them all the time, of the instances where there weren't any food options available, but the men of the Lord were fed. So she's taking on a spirit of, worldly carnality. Yeah, now, is it a problem having some extra food and things like that in the house? Nah, in the hurricanes, we might get a little couple extra things to be able to hold us off. There's wisdom to it. But when you think that that's going to be a long-term plan for you, it's just a bad idea. You know, even the most stocked up Edomite, that food is going to perish. It's either going to be taken away, it's going to expire. Hey, if Jacob's trouble were to last for years, hey man, that food going to run out. People will start killing each other in that same home. It says your foes shall be they of your own household. People will start fighting each other, getting mad over rations. They always show you down in movies where there are rations, where we're like, all right, each day we're only going to eat one sardine per person. You're going to have the people that are going to be fight with greed, and then they're going to have factions and people that are fighting each other and killing each other, right? So we're not going to stay upon Esau, man. So that prepper spirit is not where it's at. Is it smart to have a couple extra things around the house? Sure. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you got to understand the times that we're living in, things that are about to happen in Babylon. And so no matter how many canned goods you got and how many things you store up, it's not going to be enough if you don't have the Lord. It's never going to be enough if you don't have Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. And so this is where we come in with our families. Like, I don't live in the same state as my mother. I'm in South Florida. My mother lives on the complete opposite side of the country. You know, I'm down south. She's up north. She stays in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I pray that the Lord keep them safe? Sure, absolutely, 100%. But that's up to the Lord. So she's only doing what she feels is right to keep her safe. But, you know, my mama does believe, like, she's really good to me. In the times that I have, like, for lack of better terms, rebuked her, you know, she has taken things, and I ain't gonna say rebuke, it's not like a strong word, but corrected her on certain things. There was only maybe once when mother got into her feelings, and that was actually like last year, like January. Me and my mother, we don't get into arguments no more or nothing like that. There was one year I told her about her femininity. You know, I was probably like 20 years old. And I told her, I came home and I said, Mom, you don't need to yell at me to do things. You being passive and feminine to me and asking me to do things, you're always going to get me to do more. So, you know, that's ever since that day, she hasn't yelled at me. I'll give that to her, no doubt. She's like, you know, yell, get this motherfucking shit, take that motherfucking trash out, wash the damn dishes. You know, she used to be like that. But then I started telling her, Mom, that just makes me mad. And as a man, I don't want to do it. But when she started using her femininity, this is a lesson learning tool for you women, you know, that are listening, you know, that have children and husbands, you know. After that, she would say, hey, baby, can you wash the dishes for me? Oh, yeah, I got you, Mama, no problem. And I would get up and do it immediately. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I was disobedient when she was yelling at me, but you just frustrated. You don't put the care into it. You don't do it immediately. You finish whatever else you was doing first. My mama be like, hey, baby, can you go and take the trash out for me? Oh, yeah, I got you, Mama, no problem. And I'm going to just get up and go take the trash out. That's what women don't understand. That feminine touch, that is your superpower. You know, yelling and being aggressive and masculine, it don't work on men. You know what I'm saying? So she started doing it, and ever since we haven't got to an argument. But then last year, New Year, she got into her feelings because she know I don't celebrate holidays. Some brothers got different relationship with their parents, or they might say happy birthday, happy New Year's, just to appease their flesh. But my moms know I don't deal with it. So, you know, on last year, New Year's, I don't know why she acting brand new. I told her, I said, Mom, I don't know why you acting like, you know, I don't do this. Why are you doing this? Like, something I said to her like that. And I still called her right back afterwards, and I apologized. Even though I wasn't in the wrong, I still say, hey, Mom, I didn't mean to offend you. She didn't answer the phone, sent it to voicemail. Mom, I didn't mean to offend you. You know, I'm sorry if I sounded rude, but you know how I am. You know, I love you. I hope you're doing all right. And after about 3-4 days, I called her again because she was in her feelings. But then she tightened up. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, you know, besides that, you know, everything's been copacetic. But nonetheless, like I said, she's seeing the times that are at hand. So I want to read this. This is 2 Ezra 16 and verse 17. It says, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days, right? Because this is this is Prophet Ezra seeing America being burned on fire. He's seeing nuclear missiles destroy America. He's seeing chariots. He's seeing America getting set ablaze, man. So he's like, man, who gonna deliver me? It's gonna be catastrophic and destructive. All right, but verse 18 says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So he was seeing all these things. I was telling this lady earlier, like she was saying, there's been a depression before, Great Depression. I'm like, there's not going to be nothing like this one. I said, you're going to see hyperinflation. You're going to see food prices skyrocket to things you've never seen before. You're going to see a lot of institutions collapse. They don't understand the gravity of this thing. They think, oh, we've been through that, we can get through it again. But when you understand the Bible and prophecy, right, it says that this is going to be a time like never before, since it's never been existed in history. Okay? That's what they don't understand. This is not going to be something that you can bounce back from. If you're not a part of the Lord's elect, this ain't something you can just walk through and think, oh, we going to be all right if we save our money. This ain't going to be one of those situations. This is going to be life or death, right? But it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for our amendment. So if it's saying famine, y'all got to understand this. Famine is a scarcity of food. So even if you store up, it's not going to be enough. Famine is going to grip this world in a chokehold, man. Right? Famine is going to be a plague sent out here for people to be judged, man. It says it was created for the wicked. Okay? Verse 20, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of the scourges. So, these terrible things come, they still going to be sinning. Still going to be wicked. Still going to be going off. You see? But at least my mother is realizing, like, hey, this is not a joke anymore. Maybe she'll, hey, it says the elect are going to praise in the holy name. Maybe she'll start asking. Maybe she'll start getting more in tune with the spirit. Maybe now we can have more spiritual. And then I will say this. I do tell my mama about events and current events. She be like, I know, baby, I see it. She do be saying stuff like that. So I will say she is understanding that the world is changing. But it's now you got to understand, well, what is the end goal? What are you supposed to do? That's what we really try to encourage them to see. All right, because the worldly way is not the answer. She still go to church, she still believe in Chezzy, but at the end of the day, she got that zeal, but just not according to knowledge. It says, behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. So even just like now, right? Go to the grocery store, you got some extra money, go buy some goods, right? Because the victuals are cheap. But the time gonna come where you ain't gonna be able to, that term, like when she say go to the store, you ain't gonna be able to do that because your extra money is not gonna matter, because it says your day's wages is gonna be day's wage is gonna be for food. Everything you earn today is gonna go to something that you can just divide for one meal for your family, right? Maybe less. Right, so those evils are going to grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So even the people who are out here that they happen to make it through the famine. And that's terrible, man. It says it's better to die by the sword than to die by famine. But damn, you made it through the famine, struggling, starving, and then you get destroyed by the sword. God damn, that's a terrible death. And so this is why people don't understand how bad this is going to get, man. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. So it's not going to be any funerals. It's not going to be any comfort. These things are not going to be happening in the earth. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. It's going to be fucking dead zones out here, man. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. Right? So it's not going to be people out here just living life like normal. The tree shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all place shall be desolate of men. All right? So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. So there's going to be times where it's not going to be people around to comfort you and say comforting things and help you. You're going to be afraid that they're going to be your enemy, that they could harm you if you do run into somebody. Right? I'm going to jump down to verse 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. They coming, maybe they coming. It says the Lord is not slack concerning his promise in second Peter 3 and 9. It says the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. And his promise is part to do with plagues, man. It says, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth Great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slacketh not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So the world, hey, this earth is about to mourn. These people are about to see that Yahweh Shem Shah is coming to bring judgment of all of the things that are happening, man, for the wickedness that's done in this place. It says, "Oh, my people, hear my word." Right? These are the elect. "Make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth," man. So we're gonna be having to move place to place. And that's what the thing. Food, you can't be able to, how much food can you really carry? How many bottles of water can you really, man? People, let's be real. Shit, man, I'm gonna keep it honest. When I get groceries, I always leave the case of water in my car for another day to save that extra goddamn trip. You know, because most time if I can't take it on one trip, you know, I'll be like, damn, I tried it, because then I got to take a flight to stairs to get to my spot. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be like, all right, I'm going to take all the groceries up, put it up, and then tomorrow, if I got extra, unless I need that water right now, I'll leave that case of water in the car so I can come back the next day, and when I get out of the car, I can go and put it in the house the next day. Because now, that case of water ain't easy to carry. So how much water can you carry to keep you hydrated? You know, so you're going to believe in the Lord that he's going to open up a waterfall in the stream somewhere for you to get you fresh, unpolluted water. You know, that's what the Lord going to have to do for it. You know, matter of fact, speaking of water, when you think about, not only was Elijah fed, I believe it was Kidron, the name of the brook, but the Lord put him by a brook of water. Let me see here. I'm trying to find it. Let's take Raven. Let's see, maybe bread. Yep, 1 Kings 17. I always say Kidron. I think it's Cherith and Jordan. But this is 1 Kings 17 in verse 3. It says, "Get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I've commanded the ravens to feed thee there." You see, so he says this is where he was going to have his nourishment. So the Lord, you know, let me go back to, let me see what brook goes into. This is so we always talk about the food and how the ravens fed him, but the Lord gave him water too, y'all. You know, he ain't just get food over there and the ravens just raining down bread. The Lord put fresh water by him, man. Right? The word there, brook, is Nachal. Nachal. All right? And it says a torrent, a torrent valley. It says a wadai, a stream bed. Right? Palm tree meaning dubious, a river. In an original sense, a stream. So it says a narrow valley in which a brook runs. And so the Lord put him by living waters. And, you know, with stagnant waters, you can get sick. The Lord put him by living waters. He said, drink of the brook. So, you know, he commanded the ravens. He said, drink of the brook. So now this brook, he was able to drink plentifully. So he ain't got to carry no damn 24-pack of water on his back, you know? And like I said, I'm not saying this to knock my mother. I'm just giving you, like, this is the faith that you're going to have in these times, you know? And if my mother got to flee and do something like that, I hope the Lord send her by a brook, you know, and command the ravens to feed my mother, man. You know, if that's his will, you know, if he decides to judge her, that's his will as well. But I pray he have mercy on her, you know? But it says, so he went and did, and it's talking about Elijah, right? It says, so he went and did according to the word of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, for he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith that is before Jordan. I'm going to go into the word Cherith in a second too. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh. See, he had bread and meat. Man, he had a three-course meal. He had bread, he had meat, and he had fresh water, man. And bread and flesh in the evening. So he was eating twice a day. And he drank of the brook. You see? The Lord cold. Let me go back here. The Lord cold. You know what I'm saying? How can you not praise Yahweh Shem Shai? And it said this is by the Jordan River. All right? It says Cherith, meaning cutting. It says the brook where Elijah was hidden during a drought. Call on Yahweh Shai. It was a drought going on. The Lord put him somewhere. A drought is a lack of famine, is a dearth of food, and a drought is a dearth of water. There's a lack of water. And he said during a drought, he put him by a stream with living waters, man. You see, this is where our faith is going to have to kick in to know that the Lord is going to take care of us, y'all. Right? He's going to keep us safe, and he's going to feed us and nourish us. So it's cool if you get a little things here and there, but you got to ultimately believe that Yahweh Shema Shai is going to give you your water, right? It says, man shall not eat by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of my house of the Most High, right? It says he that, matter of fact, let me get that one. I might wrap it up on that. He basically let them know, if you drink those waters, you're going to be thirsty, but if you come to him, you'll never thirst again. All right, this is John 4:13. He was telling this to the lady at the well. John 4:13. Yahweh answered and said unto her, I'll start at 11. The woman said unto her, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself, and his children and his cattle? All right, and in the NLT it says, and besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? Yahweh shall answer and said to her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And the woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. You see, so she's like, I want some of that. And that's this word also. That's this understanding, this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So now with that water, the Lord will give you actual water too. But this is the true water. This is the true bread, man. So when you go, he's the manna that coming down from heaven, that bread of life. So, man, when you cleave unto him, you ain't got nothing to worry about, man. So, we ain't got nothing to worry about through the Spirit, man. Yahweh Shema Shai going to take care of his elect. And Lord willing, we be a part of that number. Lord willing, my loved ones be a part of that number, man. But that's all up to Yahweh Shema Shai. So, I ain't want to make it too long and drawn out. I pray, Lord, bring close. You know what I'm saying? But it's all up to him. It's only a matter of time, man. That's what I was going to name this lesson and do it at first. It's only a matter of time. We're seeing the sea hit. We're seeing these different camps falling. We're seeing Babylon falling. We're seeing the collapsing going on. So, brothers, just keep your head, stay firm, believe, pray, keep fighting. And Yahweh Shema Shai going to feed us, water us, and nurture us through the Spirit, man. All right, so with that, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who do rule well, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. Until next time, Shalom.